Howdy. I think we're live. Let's check it out. Good afternoon, everyone. Give everyone a few minutes to kind of join in here. Hey, chat. We live. All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's see. What's up, Chris? What's up, Mike? Cameron? All right, cool. Sound good? Everything? Let me know that the sound is good. I'm gonna stall for just about 2-3 minutes and make sure that the people find us. All right, I'm gonna turn on my fan. Sounds good? All right, you might be able to hear that fan a little bit. All right, so let's see, what else do I need to do here to get set up? I think I've tweeted it out. I've sent it to everybody. Oh yeah, I got one or two more places. Give me a moment. Okay, that's one, and one more quick one here. Throwing it out on Discord. All right, so a few things. First of all, good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 10th of December. So we are actually a day away from games, even though they're preseason, which is nuts, which is crazy. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. I am still knee deep in trying to make sense of this here. We're going to jump over to, before I do, I want to thank my wife, Dorothy, for making the music. That's Dorothy Pincus. If you like what you hear and you're interested in a producer, she is producing tracks like nonstop. It's very cool, and she's working with a lot of different people. And if you're interested, just hit me up. Also, thank you to Juliana, my daughter, for doing the graphics. Although Mike Davis helped with this layout here, which I'm still trying to figure out. I think I'm getting better at this, but I've got a few things I'm going to add once the dust settles. I've spent the last 2 weeks processing a lot of the contracts. I've only gotten to about halfway, so I am seriously behind, but I'm getting there. It's just a lot. And also I'm revamping how I do it internally, which I can't show you on stream. Unfortunately, I need to keep some things private behind the scenes, but it is so awesome, and it's going to make everything so much better, easier, faster, all that. More information at my fingertips, which will make the streams better, which will make my analysis better, which will make any TV shows and all those things all better. What's up, R2D2 from Germany? Adam Doe, what's up? It's Pat, Mike. An ad just played for your video. Yes, I am monetized. So do me a favor. Don't skip the ad if you can avoid skipping it. If you have the ability, just look away, look at something else for 30 seconds if you have to. But that is going to help pay for the stream. That's the other thing is I have a link for y'all. Let me get it real quick. I'm still stalling a little bit. We'll get started for real in just a minute, allowing people another couple minutes to get in here. All right, here's the link. Let me make sure I got the right one. December the 10th. Here it is. Okay, let me pop this into the chat. Google link for today. So check that out. That's where we're going to work. And let me go ahead and first we'll jump over here. Okay, trying this camera. Let me know if the audio gets messed up. So we'll touch a little bit on the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, on a couple of issues. I haven't searched for what we're looking for, so we'll see how time goes. But there are a few issues that are related to today's topic. So main thing, we streamed last week, and we ran out of time when it came to the hard cap for the Lakers. And so there was an article by, I think it was Zach Lowe on ESPN, interviewing Pau Gasol. And Pau was expressing that he would like to return. Now, what I got from the article, it doesn't sound like Pau's really ready. If you ask me, like, it sounds like he's on track, but I don't think he's on track to start right now. He hasn't played in a while. He had a couple of foot surgeries, but let's say he was. Can the Lakers sign him? And that's going to be question number one. And then we're going to look at the Paul George extension, which news broke today on the 10th, that It's actually already official. The Clippers tweeted out a picture. They gave a press release. So he signed an extension. I want to go over that a little bit. And I also want to take a minute to look at the LeBron James extension again, because there's some nuance in there that I think is interesting that we haven't really touched on before. Last week we had a projection. The projection was correct, but technically that contract is still a projection, and we'll talk about that. So, and then maybe we'll do a little Q&A. I typically try to go a couple hours. Maybe we'll go an hour. I'm trying to go shorter, but it seems like the response is good. And the other thing is that I'm experimenting with is the time of day to do these, and try to find a schedule that works for everyone, so I can get the most of you guys on stream together. So we're trying 1 p.m. I've done 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So we might do evening streams. I might do more than one a week, still trying to feel it out. And the best way to get that going, to help me do this, is it needs to pay me some money. It's just the reality that my time is worth a lot. I wish I had more free time. It's the most precious asset outside of my loved ones and my family. If at the top, if you go to the the Google sheet, you will see at the top there's a Venmo link and there's a Patreon link. So if you sign up for the Patreon, there are 2 levels. There's actually 3 levels. One is for tutoring, for private tutoring. And if you like tutoring and you're interested in tutoring and you have an aspiration to go into this business, this industry, or you're an agent trying to pass the exam, I've helped people get jobs with teams and pass the exam. And that's one way of getting it. There's a Patreon level there to get more direct attention from me, like hands-on one-on-one. But there's also a $15 level a month, which will, generally speaking, get you the Discord access. But what I'm going to do for now is at the $5 level, $5 a month, give you Discord access. We've had some really awesome fun times in a Discord community that started up. I started it over the summer and I didn't invite a lot of people, just some sports business classroom alumni and some friends. And we had some conversations. And then over time, I've invited people in via the streams or through the Discord, through the Patreon donations. And so it's a really nice little community that's getting started. And we've had a lot of fun. And we talk through a lot of the things as they happened in real time. And you're going to get my attention more so than maybe on Twitter, which is just flooded lately, which is awesome. So go also like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the content with others, hit the notification bell so that you notice when I'm streaming. And I think we're just about done stalling. So let's jump right in. And we're going to jump over here first. All right, so we have a quick tweet. This is going to be part 2, but let's take a quick look as by way of introduction. The Clippers are extending George's contract for an additional 4 years, $190 million on top of the $35.4 guaranteed to him in this coming season. This is from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN at Woj ESPN. George will have a new player option before the 2024-25 season, Mintz said. So this is Aaron Mintz's agent. And the first tweet is that he signed a maximum contract extension, $226 million over the next 5 years. So we'll talk about that momentarily. But let's take a quick peek here at Basketball Insiders. Now the link is in the Google Sheet. It's one of the links at the top. And this is where I publish the player salaries. And I have gotten through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams that are beautifully, satisfactorily done. Great detail. The Rockets took me a while. I'll be honest. They are a complex page, and they've always been under Daryl Morey, and I thought it might, I don't want to say get better, but would simplify with Daryl Morey moving on to Philadelphia. But no, it's definitely complex. So they've got all these contracts here that are, if you hover over the player, you see the notes have all these kind of. I need to get. They have all these details that are not simple. Just they make things a little more complicated than maybe they need to be. I list everything from trade exceptions to their non-guaranteed players, their pick swaps, which is this took me a while to trace. I feel like it's probably about 99% done. I want to go through it with a fine-tooth comb a little bit more, and what deadlines they have, when they have to make decisions. Like Bruno Caboclo's money guarantees for the season on basically the start of the season, first day of the season, first game I think it is for them. Same with Jerry Grant and Jason. I'm not sure how to say that. Tate, his salary, their salary is guaranteed at $500,000. So these are the kind of issues and questions. And I don't know if we'll have time to get into a James Harden discussion on today's stream, but we'll see. And here are the transaction logs. This is what they've done so far. So I have that for each and every team. And I did get the Lakers and Clippers up to date a little bit less for the Clippers. The salary table is up to date. The body is not. I just haven't got. So it still lists Rodney Magruder, and he's obviously on the Pistons now. So I haven't updated the page other than the table. So the table is up to date except for what came through today. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. And now we're going to jump to the main topic, at least the starting topic, which is the Lakers. And I plugged in LeBron James' last stream, and I marked it as an estimate. And it is now, whatever I put in was accurate. So the estimate was good. But we're going to get into why those numbers are not set in stone just yet. But we're going to do that after. And then here's Anthony Davis with his extension. He has an ETO, early termination option. And then they have a hard cap. And so we're going to talk about that in just a few moments, because it doesn't look like, if we look at this total here, it doesn't look like they have a problem with the hard cap. But they do, and we're going to get into why. So I break it all down here, do my best with the rotation, which I haven't plugged in all the details yet. Like I haven't put in Anthony Davis. So this page is not as up to date as Atlanta through Indiana. Clippers not up to date at all other than the table. Lakers about 3/4 of the way done, but have definitely left out some pieces. So those I will try to get to later today. Depends on how much time is in the day, which never seems to be enough. All right, so how we doing, chat? Just taking a quick look. We good? I like to check the chat, make sure everything's clean with the stream. I am officially hardwired now to the network so that we don't have any issues. There's another thing that you can do. I believe below the chat window, there's a little icon that has money on there or a dollar sign. You can donate and do what's called, I think, a super chat. If you want to donate in the chat, it is super helpful to me to pay for my time to make this worthwhile. I have to make at least a certain amount to justify doing this. I would love to do this 2-3 times a week. I have fun doing this. This is a blast. I love hanging out with you, but it has to pay for a certain amount of my time. So if you can contribute, that's great. If you don't have the means, I fully understand. Just you participating is a great thing. All right, so let's talk about the Lakers a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're just going to jump in and talk about Pau Gasol and what that would mean. And to do so, what I'm going to do is these are the numbers. This is how you get to it. But what we're going to do, I'm going to pop it in one more time. Here is the Google link. Okay, this is where we're going to be working today. So let's jump on over to it. Okay, make sure we're all set. Okay, you should all see this here. All right, so first of all, we have my Venmo, Patreon, Twitter, and my email. Reach out if you need anything. Basketball Insiders, we just took a look at. Next link is Larry Kuhn's FAQ. This is the starting point for anyone learning about the salary cap. I highly recommend it. The next link is the CBA itself from the Players Association's website. And it's fascinating and a great read, but don't read it cover to cover. Start with the FAQ, but these are our references. So if you have anything that you need, start there. I need to pull in some salaries, and like I said, I don't have it quite as organized as I'd like, so let's see what I do have. This is a little better. It'll be a little worse for the Clippers. Maybe not. Okay, we'll have to clean it up together then. Give me a second here. Like I said, I haven't gotten the Lakers up to date yet, or the Clippers, even internally, just not quite there. But I will be soon, probably in the next 24 hours. Let's see if that takes. Okay, cool. Now let's make sure I got the right column. I do. Okay. Moments. Give me a second. I like building these out with you as opposed to pre-packaging it because I think that there's more learning when we do it together. So the goal is to help you guys learn how to do this stuff. How does it work? Try to educate you on how the salary cap works. So we'll build it out together. So let's take a look. LeBron, here's AD's number. Dennis Schroeder. Now with Schroeder, what we're worried about now, we're worried about the hard cap, not cap room. They're over the cap. And they have different rules for the apron. Okay, so they have different rules for the hard cap and the apron. And when you calculate the apron, the idea is that the Lakers spent, they spent their mid-level exception on Montrezl Harrell, which locked in a hard cap. So when you have a hard cap, when it comes to a season, it's only for that season. So it does not apply to 2021-22. But until the end of the year, which means the next draft and any trades the Lakers might make around the draft next year, they're still subject to this hard cap. And the hard cap number this year is this right here. All right, and how we doing, chat? I need to see some activity, make sure we're live. So the hard cap is 138.9. And if we take a look, the idea is that no matter what, no matter how you slice it, under any circumstances, the Lakers cannot go over that number. So the fact that Dennis Schroeder has incentives that he could reach, I believe they have to do with All-Star and the team going to the finals and a few others. And I don't know if I have it in front of me. But the idea with Schroeder is that there's a chance he could earn more. And just that chance means that we need to account for that money. So he has another 1.5 million in incentives. So it's possible that he could earn up to 17 million 500. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this down here. I like to keep, instead of changing numbers, just add it in case you're watching this on a replay so you can follow along a little more closely. So we've upped Dennis Schroeder's number to that. We've got KCP, Montrez, Wesley Matthews, Kuzma, Caruso, Marc Gasol, Alfonso McKinney, who is fully guaranteed. That's an important note. Talen Horton-Tucker, Markieff Morris, Jared Dudley, who are both on the minimum contracts. Now, they are both making about 2.6, 2.3. I think Markieff is a little bit less. What is Markieff? The idea is that if a player is making the minimum for 1 year, that they are, the league reimburses a certain amount of their money. And we've gone over this before in stream. So the bottom line is even though they're making more, this is what matters, not only for the salary cap hit, but also the apron hit. Now, the two-way players don't really matter. They don't factor in. These are dead money. They did not stretch any of these players. Quinn Cook and Jordan Bell, of course. Luol Deng was stretched, and they tried to get his money off their books. That was unsuccessful. So let's just total it up here. And make sure we're good. And so looks good, right? Hard cap, no problem. They're under it, and of course they will be, no matter what. Let's take a minus there. Okay, so 2.5. So let's just number real quick how many players they have. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should Phil handle in. And of course we haven't filled in Cook yet. Okay, so now Cook is similar to Dudley and Markieff. He's a 1-year min deal. So he's the same number on the cap. Make sure you can see that. So in theory, the Lakers do not have any more room to add any player if he's guaranteed. So you would say, okay, this is a problem, right? If they want to add Pau Gasol, which is the question, how would they do so? So now Pau Gasol, similar to Jared Dudley, would be, let's just pop in the minimum table real quick. Here we are. So this is Markeith. I think, isn't this Quinn Cook? I'd have to check. And then Pau Gasol, also Jared Dudley. This is the 2-year vet amount. So cap hit, apron hit. So if you were to plug in Pau Gasol, even if he's at 2.6, on the surface, okay, we're just breaking it down slowly, it doesn't work. So we're not quite there yet. We're going to show you how it can work. All right, so we have a problem here. This can never happen on the surface because they are over this hard cap. And in fact, even if they signed a rookie instead of Pau, a rookie at 898,310, this is still illegal. Looks legal, isn't. Okay, scroll up for you. And the reason that it's not legal is if you sign a rookie in the or a first-year player, their money is, you know, I hear my dog in the background. Their money is pushed up to the vet amount too. So a rookie would be 1.6. So let me copy and paste so that if anyone's following along later, they can see it. 1.6. So the rookie would be this amount. Even if the rookie is paid 898,310, their apron hit is 1.6. And this is, I believe, put into the rules to make sure that teams don't go to the hard cap and then fill out their roster with rookies, because it's who's negotiating the collective bargaining agreement? Is it players in college who aren't NBA players yet, who are worried about making rookie money, or is it even guys who are 1 year experience who make 1.45 or 1.46 this year? No, the ones who are negotiating the CBA are guys who have been in the league for a long time and are worried about their security down the road. So it's an incentive. At least that's my interpretation. So even if it was a rookie, they could not sign that 15th player. So Lakers cannot even sign a 15th. But there's a catch we haven't covered yet. All right, and there is one more thing. We're going to jump over to here again. Let's take a quick look at the Lakers. There's one little tiny caveat, and that's right here. Unsigned draft picks. Okay, let's jump back. Except for these dudes here. Chinemelu Ulanu, Brad Newley. So these guys were drafted. So the rule doesn't apply. Rule doesn't apply to your own draft picks. So they could sign Ilanu and Newley, either of them, and their money would be 898,310. So at 898 and cap apron hit 898,310. So just rule of thumb, if the Lakers had some second rounders that mattered, unfortunately these guys, like Ilanu was drafted 11 years ago, Newley 13 years ago. I think Newley's still playing. I think he's like Australian maybe. But it's not the solution. And also the question is, can they sign Pau Gasol? So they don't even apply to that. But basically, as things stand, without having gone through the nuances, they're stuck, right? Well, there is a catch, and it has to do with Cook, and it has to do with summer contracts. So let's go ahead and move back a little bit. Cook is a summer contract. So what a summer contract is basically a training camp deal. It doesn't count against the cap, and it doesn't count even against the apron calculation. And so what we actually have with Cook, I'm going to go ahead and color his color it that color. He's not guaranteed. He's a summer contract, and therefore doesn't count against the cap yet. He will count against the cap on if he makes the team. So this is the little window. So right now, if we are being accurate, let's go ahead and copy it again. Okay, Quinn Cook, we're going to pull him down to here. So what's actually happening, take Pau out for the moment. This is the Lakers. This right here is where the Lakers are on 12-10-20. Even though they're paying Quinn Cook, in theory, he's on the under contract for $1.6 million, or rather the higher number, but what would count as $1.6 million. He is not on their books. So right now the Lakers could cut Cook on his summer contract before he makes the team. He would drop off entirely because he's not even really on their books, not on their cap figure. And they can sign, they can then Pau Gasol. And so what would happen is, and let's say that Pau was signed to a 100% full real contract, making the team, all that. It would be 2.6, but it would be Pau Gasol. So they don't even have to cut Cook. They can sign, right now, they can sign Pau, even with Cook on a summer contract. The issue starts on opening night. So Cook can't make the team if the Lakers are paying Pau a real contract and a non-summer contract. A little history, Meta World Peace signed a summer contract the last year he made the team, and he ended up making the team. And what happens is basically your summer contract is no longer a summer contract. It's just a contract. You sign an Exhibit 9 typically in a summer contract, and Exhibit 9 basically limits the exposure that a team has. Was it to $6,000? Maybe $9,000. I think it's $6,000. Maybe getting that wrong. I'm not going to look it up right now. I think it's $6,000. There was a guy named Jonathan. What was his? It wasn't Simmons. I forget his last name. There was a player that the Lakers had some years ago, got hurt. I think it was like his only preseason appearance. This was before Exhibit 9s. And he got hurt and missed the whole season, separated his shoulder, and the Lakers actually had to pay his entire salary, and it went against their books. They've changed the rule since then. You sign an Exhibit 9, of which Quinn Cook has, and there's limited exposure, so even if he gets hurt. And that matters in this hard cap situation, because if someone on a summer contract got hurt, their money would then count. So that's not an issue here. So yes, this dead money counts. R2D2 is asking, if another team signs Cook, the Lakers get a apron space back due to set off, right? The other team that has signed Cook is in fact the Lakers. And there may actually, and probably is, some set off for Cook's previous money. But set off is calculated, set off is just basically of the $1 million that the Lakers owe Cook, there's probably a certain amount that they won't have to pay if he makes this money, which is a summer contract. So if he makes the team, there will be some set off of the $1 million, but that set off won't go into effect until after the season. It will impact the cap number, the tax number, if and when they're over the tax, which we expect them to be. So it matters to them. It doesn't change their flexibility because that sort of thing is only calculated at the very end after the season. Doesn't have any impact. So it impacts their wallets, their budget. Doesn't impact what we're calculating, which is what can they do. Hold on a moment. All right, so the only way, and this is our conclusion of part 1 of our stream today. Conclusion: they can only sign Pau and keep him if they also cut Cook before he makes the team. They can have Cook and Pau together, but not once the season starts. And that applies not just to Pau, but to any free agent outside of their 2 rookie unsigned. Their 2 unsigned rookie second round picks. So Daniel Putter asks, can they still stretch Bell or Cook's $1 million? No, I had to look it up. You have, I believe, 24 hours from the time that they clear waivers. So the window is you stretch you let me say it right. You make you request waivers. That's the terminology. So what you do is, if you're a team and you want to let go of a player, you request waivers. Then there's a 48-hour time period by which teams have an opportunity to claim that player. If in 48 hours that player is not claimed, they are waived. And what you do is you actually sign an amendment to the contract if there's a buyout that reduces the salary contingent on the player clearing waivers. In the case of Cook, they didn't need to do that. They didn't need to amend his contract. It was just that there was $1 million guaranteed. And so they've waived him. So the moment that you request waivers to the moment that he clears waivers, plus 24 hours, you can stretch. They chose not to on Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook. I don't fully get why they didn't, except for focus on potential cap room in 2021. Maybe they weren't prepared, not that they could know, that LeBron and AD wanted the deals that they wanted, specifically LeBron wanting an extension. Okay, so there is one more aspect of this. Any other solutions? If they want to keep Cook and also sign Pau. So let's put it in right here. So let's take a quick look. So let's say that they keep Quinn Cook. Hold on a second. They keep him in theory. So as you can see, they could sign Brad Elanu Newly, who they're not going to sign. Is it EY or whatever it is? 898-310. This is legal. Legal, but not helpful. But what about Pau? So how can we make this work if you're the Lakers? How do you make this work? So as you can see, they're over here, right? How do you make this work? The answer would be trade. They can't cut any. Well, let's change that. Trade, buyout. Now, a buyout situation would be such that, for instance, Alonzo McKinney agrees to take less. It's too late to waive and stretch him for this season. The deadline was the 9th, yesterday. So if they were to get a player to take less. For instance, if it was taking a look, they're not going to get rid of LeBron, AD, Schroeder, KCP, Montrez, West, Kuzma, Caruso, Gasol. They're very high on Taylor Horton Tucker. I've heard very good things. At least their expectations are high for him. Markieff, they just re-signed. Jared, they just re-signed. Now, we saw J.J. Barea re-sign with the Mavericks, and then they cut him. He's going to get his money. That's a really nice gesture, and I think it means a lot to players to see Mark Cuban and the Mavericks doing that. I don't see that as the case with Dudley. They're not going to then buy him out and pay him less than that just so that they can, would have to. It's nonsense. So we're going to leave him in. We're going to just theoretically in this example say they're keeping Cook, and I put in Paul, and they want to sign Pau, right? So the only player on that list that looks reasonable would be Alfonso McKinney. So let's say that they wanted to buy him out. He would have to agree to a reduction down to, let's just throw in 900,000. Here, let me go ahead and copy this. Just a moment. You see there's not a real sense in this, because if they were doing this, they would have done this already, right? They would have done it before the stretch deadline. Why would he? Why wouldn't they have done this before the stretch deadline on December the 9th? So that's one answer that I don't think is reasonable. But there is one more, and this would be trade. So let's plug his number back in. McKinney. Alfonso McKinney. Okay. Trade. So you would have to find a team that can acquire him, has the room, the either the cap room or a trade exception. So to a team with cap room or a trade exception. Now, it looks like he's making the minimum. He's not. If he was a min player, any team could take him without sending a player back. He's not a min player. He's on a multiple year deal, 3-4 year deal. So that isn't going to happen. So the other option would be to trade him without taking someone back. And let's say they were able to do that, and you take out Alfonso McKinney, and we just move these up 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and now we're legal again. So the answers. Part 1, conclusion. Yes, they can sign Pau, but can't keep Cook on his summer contract. Needs to be waived before the start of the season. Or they can trade McKinney. I'm going to leave buyout as a realistic. I don't feel like that's a realistic option. Why would he take less money for no reason? To a team with cap room, which there are very few, if any, or with a trade exception. Now you're probably going to have to give up either a second rounder or cash. If you pay, say, $3 million to a team to take on 1 point, what is he making? 1 point. I took him off 1.7, right, or 1.8. 1.8, we'll call it, to take on 1.8 mil in salary. So let's say a team doesn't have a roster spot. They have 15 players that they're committed to. That's the most you can have on a team to start the season. They trade for McKinney using their trade exception. They then cut him immediately. The Lakers pay $3 million to do so. They are then paying the player's salary, the 1.8. The other team is profiting 1.2. Or maybe the Lakers are giving a second rounder. Since they don't have a lot of second rounders, I wouldn't recommend that. A team may be willing to take that. And now, so what you're doing is you're paying basically $3 million to pay Pau Gasol 2.6 million, of which some of that will be reimbursed. So 1.6. So let's say Pau 1.6 mil cost and salary plus 3 mil to trade McKinney. Is Pau worth 4.6 mil? Not to mention more luxury tax for the Lakers. We're not going to calculate that right now. At another time, we'll look at luxury tax. So that's my thought on Pau. It's definitely doable. I don't think he's ready personally. If you want, say, Trevor Ariza, I know the Lakers have been interested in Ariza. Who just reported that? I think Shams Charania of The Athletic just reported something that I'd been talking about, be it on stream or, I don't know, I was talking about it with someone, maybe it was on radio. But my understanding is that the Thunder aren't in the business of giving up assets and would like to trade him and probably have a shot to do so later. And if they don't trade him at the deadline, they can buy him out then or waive him then or whatever. And so, yes, there is a proration, and that's something that I want to talk about as well. Proration for Pau Gasol. So before we get to Marcus, to Paul George, there is one more thing. What about when can the Lakers sign Pau if they keep Cook? That's a good question. So let's plug in. Let's see, where were we? Okay, this is where the Lakers are right now. This is where we want, right here. Okay, and let's say that they keep Cook. Cook is kept. Start the season in P&G, purple and gold. And now the Lakers would be start of season with Cook. Okay, so we need to discuss something about that's called proration. I have not calculated this yet. So I'm going to stop for a moment and look at the chat. So a few things. Like this video, please share it with others. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can know when I'm streaming again. Check out the Patreon link at the top. That would mean a ton. Donate in this chat right here. There's a $sign. That would mean a lot of super chat. It would mean the world to get a little bit. Here's the link to the Google Doc. Also, if you sign up with the Patreon at the top as well, I will invite you to the Discord, even if you do at the bottom level, the most basic level, $5 a month. Really appreciate all the support. It means to the world that you are participating in these regularly. I do need to make it worthwhile for my time, so we're going to keep experimenting on times and lengths of streams and see what's best. I just got monetized by YouTube, so thank you to YouTube. Thank you to all of you for making that even possible. It is awesome. But I don't know what that translates to as far as real money yet, so I'm experimenting. And I love doing this, so I'm hoping we can do that. So please take the time if you can. I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick and see if there's any questions I missed before we continue. Let's see here. Cameron Lockyer, pretty sure they have to cut Cook to get Pau or wait until the vet min is prorated. So Cameron Lockyer, you are right on pace with where this lesson is going. What's up, Chris Polanco? Yes, Lakers basketball. Basketball in general is back. I love basketball. I cover the Lakers. I cover the Clippers. Cover the NBA at large, and it is a real treat. And I'm happy to go over these things with you and try to look at it from a different angle. Let's see here. Chase, thank you. Chase Winger. Fujio1. Is that the same link? Yeah, it's the same link as in the description as far as I have the Google sheet in the description. Mark Scott says, let's throw Eric some chips. Yes, please. All right, let's see here. Kevin Scott, what's up? JR Isidore, what's up? Kenneth Slaughter, what's up? Shams is king. What's up, Shams? Shams is cool. Absolutely, I like Shams a lot. Yeah, Chris Polanco, I hate seeing Deng's name. Obviously, the Lakers do too. They did not successfully get him off the books. Okay, DS asks, is Schroeder allowed to give up his incentives perhaps if he gets an extension he likes? So, number one, Dennis Schroeder is eligible for an extension. And number two, you are not allowed to reduce your compensation for a specific year. You are allowed to reduce your compensation protection, which is your guaranteed amount. The only way a team would have the ability to get out of that guaranteed amount is to then waive you, and that is not in the plan. So no, Schroeder does not have the ability to impact his incentives. And just having them, even if you say he tanks and doesn't reach them, doesn't matter. The possibility that he could is enough that it impacts their hard cap. Hold on a second. Get rid of that call. How dare you call while I'm in a stream? Don't recognize the number either. Cameron Lockyer says, is Cook cut enough room for Pau and Ariza if he gets bought out? So it's the same issue. Cook and Ariza and Pau all make the same figure on the cap at the start of the year at 1.62, regardless of what they're paid, as long as they're on a 1-year minimum. So as you can see, if you add another 1.6 with Quinn or without Quinn, and let's say Pau is in Cook's spot and Ariza is in the empty spot, that takes you over. So the answer is no, unless you trade McKinney, or if we do a prorated thing, we sign later in the year. So that's what we're going to try to figure out. And I'm a little bit hesitant to do it because I have a formula, and I hope that I can translate it live. I hope I have enough data. I think I do to compute it. Normally I like to pre-compute things, but it's also fun. And there's some things I've put off to stream to try to figure out together. I think we'll learn a little bit better together if we're doing it that way. Asmin Pethare, if I'm butchering your names, apologies. What if the Lakers trade for another team's rookie or first-year player? What's the cap at then? So that's a good question. So a lot of teams have players who are not signed, who are second-round picks. There are also first-round picks, but first-round picks, their scale is going to be higher than – we're saying they keep Cook. They only have 912, or let's call it $1 million. It's not quite $1 million, but we'll say $1 million, right? So the Lakers have $1 million to play with. If you put in Pau Gasol instead of Cook, same deal. If you put in Trevor Ariza, if they buy him out, and he's a free agent before the season, and you put him in instead of Cook, same thing. Can't get another player. However, the Lakers could, and this is a good question, they could trade for another team's player who's a second-round pick, who has not signed with the team yet, is still outstanding, similar to Brad Newley and Ilanu. I'm not going to say his first name again. I butchered it enough. And then the Lakers could sign that player. So that is definitely a feasible option. You could buy that player's contract with cash, or you could trade a future second. The Lakers don't have a ton of future currency when it comes to drafts. I hope this is up to date. Like I said, I haven't finished the basketball. This is Basketball Insiders again. I haven't finished the Lakers page yet. And I know they just traded. Okay, so I think it's up to date. So the Lakers owe their first rounder next year. That might be it might be the 2022 first rounder to the Pelicans. We're not talking about first rounders. So we're just looking at second rounders. They owe their 2021. They owe their 2022. They can trade their 2023, but it would be subject to the swap. So they would be trading the Lakers pick or the Pelicans pick to whomever. And so that is tradable. They can trade 2023, 2024, 2025, 2027. So the Lakers have 4 second rounders to trade. So if there was a team that had a player right now that is Lakers have a chance to get, would love to get and have their eye on, scouting departments in love with, think he's somebody worthwhile, sure. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't. But Asmin asks a very good question. Chris Polanco says, is McKinney really going to stay on the team? And then Cameron Lockyer says, Vogel just said McKinney hasn't been to the facility yet, but I'm guessing yeah. So why hasn't he been to the facility yet? What can't the team say? They can't say who has the virus, unfortunately, because of privacy. At some point in the very early days, everybody was saying, oh, this player got it. Then at some point the league and the teams realized, or at least it was said, that you can't just put that out there unsolicited. It's up to the player to announce such a thing. But the fact that he's not in camp pretty much tells you that. I believe he's 100% planned to be on this team. In theory, as we discussed, he could be traded before the start of the season. They need a wing defender. He's a young wing defender who's not a terrible shooter. Why wouldn't you want to? You have his money on the books. They had a choice of whether to guarantee. They had to guarantee one, and we covered this on a stream a couple weeks ago. They had to guarantee one of Bell and one of McKinney. They cut Bell. They kept McKinney. They guaranteed McKinney because they wanted to keep him. Also, McKinney has 2 more years, that are non-guaranteed. He's got a great contract. If he works out, they have him at the minimum for the next 2 years, or close to the minimum for the next 2 years. Why wouldn't you want that? It's hard to get good players, and maybe they can develop him into that. So I do think that he's someone they're going to work into their rotation. So where would he be in the rotation? You've got LeBron, AD, Dennis ahead of him, KCP, Montrez, Wes, Kuz, Caruso, Gasol. That's 9 players ahead of him. I would say THT is probably ahead of him. Morris is probably ahead of him. So he's near the end of the rotation. But he's someone worth looking into, and I don't think they're going to cut him or trade him. And if they cut him, it doesn't help them unless he accepts less money, and why would he do that? Shams is King is saying Pau Gasol is on the way. I don't think quite yet, but it's theoretically possible. If another team signs Cook, the Lakers get okay, we talked about that. That was RTD2. We talked about the set-off thing. And then Kenneth Barash says, for Cook, the $1 million dead money adds to the hard cap calculation, even if he stays for the season. Yep. His money, the dead money is the dead money. Had they stretched him, they would not have been able to re-sign him. David Lee says, get rid of McKinney. I don't understand that logic. He's a player who has potential that you probably want to, if you're the Lakers and you have his money on the books, give an opportunity to. They need a wing defender. Why wouldn't you try to use one you got? Now, if he shows up and he's terrible, and if he doesn't work hard, that's a different story. So Jonathan Gonzalvo says, but why wouldn't the Lakers sign Cook if they plan on letting him go? Wasn't it easier to just keep the flexibility? They haven't impacted Jonathan, their flexibility whatsoever, because he's on a summer contract. He's also very close to AD, and that matters. So even if you're just signing James Jones, who is a guy who is very close to LeBron and followed LeBron wherever he went, James Jones is now the GM of the Suns. Like, there's more to this game than just what we see on the floor. Jared Dudley's impact matters. Would it be better to have a young prospect to develop? That's arguable. But his impact on Kyle Kuzma may be more important. And AD's impact on keeping Anthony Davis happy may be just that important, that he's worth keeping even beyond this summer contract. As far as why they made the move they made, Cook was $3 million, and now he's $1.6 million, so he's $2.6 for this year. They cut about $400,000 off of 380, whatever it is, off of their numbers, so it's a more beneficial situation. He is getting 1.8, I think, 1.7 plus $1 million, so he's getting 2.7 something. So he's making about 250 less, 250K less than he would have had they not cut it. And while it's easy for me to say, oh, it doesn't matter, obviously it matters to someone like him, it's still not a bad situation if he makes the team. Plus you have a potential playoff share and all that. Assuming if they go all the way to the finals and win again, he'll make up some of that. Let's take a look a little bit more at the chat. Andrew Chakanika says, sir, cannot read the screen. It's blurry. It might be a little blurry on some resolutions. Suggest a high resolution. If I expand, we're at 90% zoom. If I jump to 100%, it's harder to fit everything on the page. So what my recommendation is, if it's blurry, is to check out the Google Sheet and follow along. All right. Let's see here. And yeah, I know there are ways to like hide go to full screen, and I'm still gonna. There's also a way to zoom in with. I'm using OBS, but I'm a relative rookie at this, so I'm still. After I get all the salaries processed for Basketball Insiders, which is probably another week or two, when I get them, I'll update all the tables. But when I get all the pages done, then I'll practice and try some new techniques for zooming in into sections and all that. But right now, I'm just mainly focused on getting you guys the content. All right, so let's keep going through the chat, and then we'll dig into the proration, and then we'll get to Paul George. And let's see, we're about here. Okay. Chris Polanco says, trade or cut McKinney. Again, cut doesn't look like a real option. I guess we had a little bit of spam here. Buyout would be a bad move. This is from DS. You still want the option of adding players later on, like a reason. You're right. Like, so to put a little bit of money, more dead money on the Lakers' books in McKinney does not help the situation. Presti would do it for a top 59 protected pick. Quick clarification, the most you can protect a pick is top 55. Would he do it for a top 55 pick that he's likely to get? Sure. But I think he would want an unprotected pick or maybe cash. Daniel Putter says, can Schroeder waive his incentives? We said no. Does the cash? Chris Polanco says, does that cash? So if you trade cash, it does not impact your salary cap. You have a limit of $5,617,000 a year in what you can send out, at least this year. All right. Ken D, what's up, Ken? Of SBC says they'd have to get something back. Would they just ask for the rights to a Euro who's never coming over? The Lakers don't have to get necessarily something back in a player. In theory, they could get cash, but you're right that they have to get something. So, but what we were saying is the Lakers would be trading for the rights. Okay, there are two different trades that we made up. One was trading McKinney without bringing someone back. And in that case, they'd have to bring back either A, cash, or the rights to a second-round player who's never coming. Or another team's, probably the more likely would be a team's top 55 protected pick in the next draft. So that it's a pick like if you got, and I'm not looking, but like let's say it was the Hornets, and maybe the Hornets aren't, they're real. I'm not looking at their page, but let's say that they don't expect to be a top 5 team. You're never getting that pick. So that's a possibility. But in the case of the Lakers acquiring a second round pick to actually sign, then the Lakers could send out money, let's say they're just buying it, or they could send out a second round pick or something like that or whatever. DS, isn't it more luxury tax or is it less? Are the full 2.6 million taxed? So I don't fully understand the question, but the 1.6 million is the amount that you're taxed on. So if you're paying Jared Dudley 2.6, the Lakers will pay 2.6. It'll be reimbursed to them to the tune of 1.6 in the end, and they'll be taxed at 1.6. Excuse me. All right, let's almost there. Would it make more sense to hire Pau as a player development coach? That's from Koi Lee. Probably pronouncing it wrong. Pau wants to return. If you read the article from I think Zach Lowe of ESPN, you'd understand like this is somebody who passionately wants to try to play again, wants to play on the Spanish Olympic team, all that. Would it make sense to give him a job after that? Sure, absolutely. I think that would be great, but I don't think he's mentally there yet. I would like to see Pau retire as a Laker in some fashion, even if they do a summer contract and then cut him, similar to what Luol Deng did to go to Chicago. RTD2 says the Lakers can waive McKinney and hope that a team claims him off waivers. So the only way that happens would be as if they had discussed that with a team and they had some sort of promise from a team that would happen, and that team wouldn't be bound to that promise. But it's theoretically possible. Looks like we had a little bit of spam or someone cut. Let's see. Kudos to you, Jonathan Gonzalo. Kudos to you. Love your work. Glad to be able to have access to your insights. Thank you. Appreciate that. Badir Arifi says, can they sign Dedmon instead of Pau and keep Cook? It's the same issue. Any other human being outside of those Newly and Alanu, they have to cut Cook. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at when. When is this no longer an issue? Chris Blanco, I always told my followers to follow you when you're running Lakers Facts. Well, when you were running Lakers Facts. I'm like, I never ran Lakers Facts. But that's great to hear. I appreciate the compliment. I don't have any expectation the Lakers trade Kuzma at this time. If anything, they are looking to extend him. They have until the 21st of December. Based on those negotiations, we'll determine whether or not he's a trade candidate. If the money is close, then they're going to either extend him or keep him. And if the money is out of where the Lakers feel his price range is, they'll look into that possible move. You can waive a trade kicker. That's R2D2 asking. Yes, you can. That's not applicable here. Andrew Byers starting to get to the questions that matter. Can they sign a 10-day contract during the year? Yes, a 10-day contract will be. We'll try. We'll actually compute that in a minute. And let's see. Would the Lakers trade to make room for Pau and Ariza? That's from DAC 303. I don't know about that. again, the only trade candidate is McKinney. Is it possible? Yes. I don't think Ariza is going to be bought out, period, until he is bought out, if he's bought out, after the Thunder fail to trade him, if they fail to trade him. All right, I see. So almost caught up. Yes, RTD2 says Deadman is the same scenario like Gasol. That's true. Backup 000 says, okay, never mind. Answer, rather keep McKinney than Cook. That's, yeah. The fact that McKinney has more potential on the court than Cook. I don't think Cook has there's no room in the rotation, in my opinion, for Cook, because those minutes are going to go to Schroeder, Caruso, Taylor Horton Tucker, and then LeBron is technically the point guard. So you're going to have rotations that don't even have a point guard, which have Wes Matthews and KCP and or Kuzma when they're going bigger. Did I leave out anybody? So I think that's the lineups. Those are the rotations. How does Cook break into that? That's tough. Let's see. There's a few more questions in chat, and then we'll move on. Will the NBA allow players to be available to play each game due to COVID? I'm not quite sure I understand that, Tina Guzman. All players are allowed to play the available number of games. It's just a matter of who's healthy, and teams are going to get a little bit more ability to sit guys on non-national TV games who are stars. DS says, my point about the luxury tax, if you trade McKinney with cash and then sign Gasol, you don't pay more luxury tax, you pay less. Right. There are, you could say that there's a slight difference in that McKinney is 1.7 and Gasol would be 1.6, and that extra 100,000 would have a little bit extra tax in it, but it's not necessarily significant. Chris Polanco says, yes, Pau definitely wants to play with his brother. It would be a great story. I have a lot of affection for Pau. I covered him closely. I've spoken to him on the phone multiple times. It's been a while though, and he's just, he's one of the kindest people that you'll meet. I have great appreciation for who he is as a human being, which matters in this world, and that's why Quinn Cook might be on this team. It's why Jared Dudley's on this team. It's because it's not all video games, it's not all NBA 2K, which is a lot of fun, but there are real human elements that go into why the Lakers were what they were this last season, and maybe why the Clippers, who didn't have that same human chemistry together as the Lakers, why they didn't have the same success. And there are human elements that can't, JaVale McGee's contribution last year was significant, more so than what he did on the court, and he'll be missed. And is he why they won? No, not necessarily, but he contributed to that. All right, let's keep going. Thank you, Badir. I enjoy streaming. Again, if anybody would like to do the super chat, little donation, that would mean the world. And then also the Venmo/Patreon. If you do Patreon, you get the opportunity to join the Discord server, which is a lot of fun, and you get better access to me as well. Chris Polanco, yes, the plan is that Taylor Horton Tucker gets a lot of time. I don't know about a lot of time, but is a significant rotation player this year. That's the hope. And that's just based on performance, which is what it should be, right? But it's preseason performance. It's practice performance. It's even performance in what he did in the playoffs in a very brief appearance, but nothing's set in stone. So yeah, RTD, you can waive a trade kicker, but no, you cannot waive incentives. And then Badir's starting to get ahead of ourselves. Can the Lakers sign Kawhi if he's unhappy with the Clippers? The Lakers can sign anyone for the minimum or for certain exceptions, but they do not have the kind of cap room to pay the market rate of what Kawhi Leonard would want. So let's go back into the spreadsheet. So I appreciate that, you guys in the chat, trying to make sure that we stay on clock here. And where do I have it? Just a moment. I'm going to pull up my proration sheet. Here it is. Okay, so this is more or less what I have. It is, let me make sure it's accurate. Is it based on, yeah, I think this is correct. And I don't know for sure. And I wonder how this is going to translate. Give me a moment. I'm looking to see what I have in Excel, and I'm curious if it translates. It's not going to translate perfectly. So let's do this. Let's just look at this number here. This is the vet 2-year min. we're going to look at this number. We don't need it to be yellow anymore. Okay. So this would apply to Ariza, Pau, Cook, anyone on a 1 year full season minimum min contract. And so the issue is that if the Lakers keep Cook, they only have 912, 952 under the hard cap to work with. So, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right. We'll try to rebuild the formula here. I think we're good. I'm a little concerned, but normally the season is 177 days. This year it's 146 days. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that opening day, this is where I think I plugged it in right. So opening day is 12/20. Let's do it this way. Opening day is 12/22/20. Days in season divided by 10. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I follow my own math. Previous Eric, who built this out, is compatible with today Eric, and that I'm following my own logic. So we're talking about the salary of 1620564, regardless of the actual amount. So if we divide this by number of days, 146 divided by 146. Let's drop this down. Full salary, daily rate. So 146 equals that times 146, right? So this is how you calculate how much an NBA player makes per day if they're a 2-year vet min. So in the case of Pau, it would be this. So he would make $17,567 a day. But the important number is the cap/apron hit is what matters on a 1-year deal. Okay? So while Pau would make that much. So let's say that he signs on December the 13th, right? So this is the salary. We would have to do this divided by 145, right? Wait, let me make sure I'm doing this right. No, it's still the same. It's per day, right? So divided by 146, but he's doing 145 days. So let's see, do it like this, 145 days. There it is. Okay, that's it. So days, daily rate, total. Okay, I think we got it. Just had to think it through a little bit. Okay, so the Lakers have, now I have some means to reverse engineer this to 912,952. So if we were to, it's a little harder to think, I'll admit it, when I'm in front of you all and trying to talk and think at the same time. But let's say that he signed, it's basically the daily rate is 11, this is the daily rate. If we divide this by that, right, wouldn't it be 82? So am I crazy in thinking it's 146 minus 82? Whoops. Would it be 63? I'm either doing it backwards or 100% right. We'll find out in just a moment. Bear with me. Like I said, it's a little harder to think when you're talking. So let's do 63. Let's do 64. Whoops. Okay, so it's the other one, 82. Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Okay, there it is. So, okay, so he can play for 82. So it's was this on? Yeah, okay. So this is 63 days into the season, 64 days into the season, he can sign for 82 days of the season. Does that make sense? So that's 9, 10. Okay, so that number works there. So Pau can sign, can play for 82 days. Okay, which means that he can sign 63 days. Let me make sure I get that right. No, I'm off by one, right? 64 days into the season. So 82 plus 64, just so we can see the basics, right? So he can earn 11. Copy that real quick. Let's just do this. Equals that. So he can earn that much. And again, this is not his actual salary. This is the vet min, the 2-year vet min. So it's 64 days into the season. So we're at, I hope Google Sheets, I know it works 12, 22, 20 equals this plus 64. Is that going to work in Google Sheets? Okay, December 24th, 2021. So, and maybe we're off by a day. I'd have to think about it. But thinking is a little tricky while talking. So we're going to put in Pau signed 2/24/21, which would be 9/10/180 under the hard cap. And then it doesn't have to be Pau. It is the same number for any other human being on a 1-year min, not legal for 2-year min. Except for Newly and Elanu, or an acquired second rounder. Little caveats. What's great about, I don't know about great, what's complicated about our job here in trying to make sense is that there's like always a caveat somewhere. Like, yes, it's this, but it's also not true for Newly and Elanu, or it's not true if they trade for an acquired second rounder. So, but there we have it. It's February the 24th is when someone like, so reading the Zach Lowe article, that sounds about right to me personally when I think Pau will be ready. Will the Lakers be ready to sign someone like that? Hold on. Because, where are they in season? Do they have injuries? Do they need to replace somebody? Do they feel like we're not playing our 14th and 15th, or maybe they're playing guys like Kaycock and Antetokounmpo a lot because they're blowing teams out? Like, what does the season look like? Is this roster spot just sitting there? They know they're not making a trade at the deadline, which of course they don't know. When is the deadline, by the way? I think it's going to be in March or April. There's all these questions that we simply don't have the answer to. So to me, if I'm the Lakers, I'm waiting. If I'm keeping Cook, which if it makes AD happy, I'm keeping Cook. If it may not be that important, maybe you cut Cook and leave that flexibility open. The best thing, if the Lakers aren't invested in Cook, is to not keep him. Keep that open. Keep that money clear for Pau or Ariza or anybody else as far as the proration. So, all right. So there you go. So let's. I think that's our conclusion. Basically, the conclusion. So the added conclusion to the Pau conversation. Yes, they can sign him outright and keep Cook, but not till 2/24/21. I'll add, we may be off in our calculation by 1 day. That's a possibility. I want to double check. Just sometimes the timings can be off in the interpretation of the rule of what I don't know. I think I'm right. I think we got it. And by the way, a 10-day contract would simply be this times 10. That's for the vet min, the 2-year vet min. A rookie one would be 8, 9, 8, 3, 10. And this doesn't apply to the Lakers because any rookie they sign will be treated for the tax like a. I guess it would matter. It would be treated like a 2-year vet min, but for the tax purposes. But I guess if they don't keep Cook, they could sign a rookie, and it would just count that much for the one for the cap, one for the tax. But if we divide this by 146, this is the daily rate. That's the daily rate, and then that's times 10. So this is what a rookie 10-day contract would look like, just for the sake of argument. Normally, it would be based on the cap. This is what last year's was. Instead of 146, it'd be divided by 177. Last year's 10-day contracts. With a 177-day season. Cool. All right. We're almost done with the Lakers and any questions about Pau Gasol and all that. I'm going to do a quick look at the chat, and then we're going to wrap it up with Paul George. All right. So let's take a look here. Looking at the chat. So we answered the question. Pablo Eterovich says, when can they sign Gasol without cutting Cook? February the 24th. Will the NBA allow? We said that. My point about it. Okay, we got that. Badir, thank you. You're welcome. Ernesto, can't watch but keep up good work. Thanks for checking in. Watch it on replay. Although I guess you're not watching, so you don't know I just said that. But thank you. RTD2 says, but the Lakers can sign a minimum player later with less cap hit because of prorated salary. That was what our conclusion. Daniel says March 14th, good guess, but it was, yep, and then you corrected yourself to February 24th. February 24th, that, of course, was the Memorial Day service day for Kobe and Juliana. I did not know that. I was there for that. That's from Vimal Murthy. Yeah, that was, I was there with my wife. I had the opportunity to go with media, and that's where I was planning on going, which was, I think, actually outside. I'm trying to remember wherever it was. I think it was in the press box. Yeah, this is pre-COVID, so it was in the press box. But I had the opportunity from somebody who got me into one of the luxury boxes, which was really and two, I guess, 2 tickets. So instead of me going by myself, I was able to take my wife, and Kobe meant a lot to my wife, meant a lot to the city, meant a lot to a lot of people. So for us to experience that together was important. So, you know, some things are more important than my work even. So, all right. How we doing, chat? Make sure that we're still live here. Everyone's happy and taken care of. We've gone an hour and 20. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to jump on over. Get the chat here. Just a moment. All right, let's take a look here. This is Basketball Insiders. We're jumping back over to the Clippers now. So let's take a quick look here. Give it a moment. It's loading. Or is it? There it is. Okay. So we have the Clippers. Okay, so a couple of things about the Clippers. I have not broken down anything yet. But if we look at it, and if we're applying the logic that we just looked at with the Lakers, Serge Ibaka is their equivalent to Montrezl Harrell, in that they use their full mid-level exception to sign him. Therefore, the Clippers have a hard cap. They have the same hard cap as the Lakers, which is at about $139 million. So if we take a look, and this table is up to date. As I noted, the page itself is not, but everything above in this table is correct. And so if we take a look, it would look let me scroll down. It would look like, well, wait a second, aren't they over the hard cap? And the answer is no. Same reason why the Lakers do not apply Quinn Cook to their hard cap, because the Clippers have Malik Fitz, they have Jordan Ford, they have Kai Bowman, I believe, on a summer contract. See, it's in the notes. They have Rajon Tucker, also on a summer contract. Excuse me. And so if we plug in these numbers, which I have, let's take a look at how I have it. Give it a moment. We're going to come back over here. Same thing with the Lakers. I haven't gotten my Excel stuff is up to date through the Rockets. And it's just beautiful, gorgeous. I love every bit of it. It is going to be awesome when I get everybody else. But I do not have the Clippers up to date yet. So this is a little messy. So we're going to jump to the Clippers. And I need to, where are we? There we are. Okay, so this is a little messy. So we're going to clean it up together. Montrez is out. JaMychal's out. Isaiah Thomas was cut. Noah, he's a two-way. That's Amir Coffey. I don't know if you can see that. Bear with me. Jaden Scrub is a two-way. Let's put them together. Scroll down a little bit. Jaden Scrub is a two-way. Scrub is a funny name for a basketball player, given that scrub is the term used for someone who's a bad basketball player. I mean, look, he's making a living, so good for him. All right, give me a second. I'm going to just do some copy and pasting. Oops, did I lose something? Okay, Patrick Patterson. Let's move Kai Bowman over here. Bear with me. I've got Patterson twice, I think. Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson. Like I said, normally this would be perfect and ready to go. But I am up to Indiana right now is the team I'm working on outside of the stream. And they are almost 100% up to date, but they are not quite. It is literally taking me a massive amount of time, primarily because, yes, it's more compressed. Like there's been so much movement all at once that it's just insanity. But beyond that, it's also because I am completely revamping how I do it internally, and I'm super excited about what I'm doing, and it is so much more powerful than what I had before. But it's more time consuming. All right, almost there. Okay, so let's take a look here. These are the summer contracts. So we're going to put them in a different place, similar to what we did with Quinn Cook. Bear with me if it's off the screen. And we'll just include the two ways here. And I'll do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's use a fill handle. So they're up to 13 players. So let's fill in 2 spots as well for them. 14, 15. And we'll do some and see where we're at. Okay, so we're getting into a similar kind of situation. Hard cap. Copy that from over here. One more. Give me a second. Lost the formatting. There we go. And this is where they are. Wasn't going to stream on the Clippers, but then this Paul George thing jumped out at us. So I think we should we've got about another 20, 30 minutes. Let's talk about it. So this is under the hard cap. Total, over, under. Okay, let me know if I missed somebody, if you're up to date on the Clippers here. I think I've got it. I'm about 98% sure. We have Paul George, Kawhi, Marcus Morris, Patrick Beverley, Serge Ibaka, Lou Williams, Ivica Zubac, Luke Kennard, Patrick Patterson, Fiondu Kabengele, Reggie Jackson, Nicholas Batum, Daniel Oturu. Saying that right? 2 blank spots, open spots. Amir Coffey, two-way. Jaden Scrub, two-way. $2 million under the hard cap. Then they have the contracts of Rajon Tucker, who is 1 year of service, and Kai Bowman, 1 year of service. And then they have Fitz and Ford. Tucker, Bowman, Fitz, and Ford sounds like a law firm to me. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Tucker, Bowman, Fitz, and Ford. There's got to be a law firm named that somewhere. Okay. So they're similar. Their apron hit, because they're not draft picks, is 1620564. Similar to the conversation above. Excuse me. Okay. So where are we? So player X, and let me know, chat, if I left someone out. Okay. Player X, player Y. So any new player, and let's take another. It's not up to date. Well, it's not up to date for this year, but it is up to date as of last year. Do they have any unsigned? There it is. So they do have Matthias Lessort, if they haven't traded him. David Michinow, if I'm not saying that wrong. Vladimir Verminko. So David Michinow is still active. And Matthias Lessort, again, probably butchering it. So these players are active. So they could sign them at rookie deals at 898. So similar to Newly and Elanu, the Clippers do have that as well. But let's say they wanted to sign vet min players. So they have room for 162056. Let's for the people who are watching on stream, on replay. There we go. Player X 1620564. So he's a draft pick. So he's his cap apron hit is just 898310. I guess I could have just copied that and that. So this over. They are literally in the same spot as the Lakers. They can go to 14 players. So Clippers, like the Lakers, are stuck at 14, not 15 to start the season, unless they are signing a drafted player at the minimum, at the rookie min. Can't even do one at the 1 year of service. So can they do this? I don't know. Let's just plug it in real quick. Can they keep these two dudes? So the issue is that no. I mean, it looks like it works, right? It says under, but their apron hit is 1620 1.6. So their apron hit is 1620. Let's just copy from here. So they're in the same boat that they can't keep both of these guys. So can keep one of Tucker Bowman or sign another player outright. But you see the limitation here. So that's the Clippers. We're applying the same logic, and everything that we just did for the Lakers, Clippers, same boat. Paul George, let's take a look at Paul now and try to wrap up the stream. So this is where Paul George was. Let's move it over here. Make sure I got the right numbers. Okay. So he's 2019, 2020, 2020, 21, 2021, 22, and this is a PO. So just going to jump over here and pull up this tweet again. Let's just copy the body of it into our document briefly so I don't have to look back and forth. We'll delete it in a moment. Okay, so they're extending for, 4 year 190. He's making 35, that's 35.4 in 2021, and then new PO 2024-25. They say it's as much as 226 mil over the next 5 years. Okay. So what does this translate to in real life? So for one, let's bring it down here. I'm just gonna leave this is I'll leave it in the this is from the Woj tweet. Let me copy the pardon me. I'm gonna leave it in the document for future use. This is the source of that. ESPN Woj. Make sure that I like to give credit where credit is due. Okay. So let's see what this means. So one choice would be he opted in. He got 120% of that, which is what an extension can be. What if let's do this. Opted in, question mark. Let's do 2021, 22. Don't worry, I'll scroll right now. I know you can't see. 2022, 23, 2023, 24, 2024, 25. And that's what the tweet says. And so he could get 120% raise, and this times 1.08, and this times 1. Actually, this would be just this times 2 minus that. That's a little shortcut. So I'm not saying this is what he was gotten. This is a theoretical thing, and it's going to be subject to some issues. If we sum all of it, 220. And so Woj is saying up to as much as 226 over the next 5 years. The question then becomes, what this year is 2023. If it starts 2023, the extension, 22-23, it's subject to the max of that season or PG's personal max. So the way we compute that, now we don't know what the cap is going to be. We only have projections. The current projection for 2022-23, because we're assuming he opts in, right? We're not assuming, we're running both scenarios. This is what the cap is projected to be. That's, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get rid of the color. Okay. Did that not reset? There it is. Okay. So he will be 10 years of service. So let me double check where he is in years of service. Years of service means how many years you've been in the league. Paul George right now is at 10. So he is, I believe he's at 10 now. Yeah. So we're in the top max. So he is eligible for up to 40.5. So this would be his max for 2022-23 based on league-wide max. But his personal max also comes into play. Is either 120% of previous salary or 105% of previous salary. The 120% cannot be over the cap, or rather over the league max. The 105% can be over the league max. So if we were to compute it this way and go this times 1.2, we get, this is 120% extension max. We do this times 0.35. This is the league max. And if we do this times 1.05, we get his personal. So my interpretation in this particular scenario, which is that he opts in, would be that his max, and I could be wrong and maybe I'm missing something here, would be that it would be 40,525,450. This is the opt-in scenario, of which we are then going to compute the opt-out scenario. So that would be 20. So okay, so he would sign at that. He would get that 1.8. How would we do? Okay, so one is 220, and he's saying here it is as 226 million over the next 5 years. So this looks low. This looks about right, but it doesn't look legal. And again, it's possible the agent got it wrong. It's possible the report is wrong, or it's possible that he didn't opt in. Okay, so let's run the opt-out scenario. All right, let me pull up the chat, make sure we're good. All right, just doing we good, just checking. Hit me up, chat. I know I see a lot, and I just when I'm digging into it and spelling this stuff out, okay, I see chat moving. I don't look at the chat when we're actually doing the math. So okay, so now let's go with the assumption that he opted out. Okay, so if he opted out, we're subject to a different max. We're subjected to the 2021 max, which will be, this is the projection. Okay, and then 35% of that. Okay, so league max. Okay, there we are. So let's do the same calculation. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this here. And we're going to say, let me scroll, this times 1.2. That's the max he could get on an extension at 42.5. This is the league max. So this is illegal because, well, I'll call it illegal, but this won't work because it's subject to the league max. The personal max, however, 1.05. This is his personal max. So to me, my interpretation, and I could be wrong, is that this salary would start at the league max, which is projected to be 39. Let's just copy and paste for those coming in later. Opted out. Opted out. And let's go with the league max. So in this case, 39,344,900. And he's going to get an 8% raise on that. And we're going to multiply that times 2 minus that. And that sum of all that, 211. So this is what I calculated as, and maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we're using different projections. Okay, so what as much as 226? What could that mean? So the league said 3 to 10% climb, right? So we're talking about, this is the cap right now, 109, 140. Trying to make sense of where this number comes from, right? That's our current cap. In this is like a one-time thing. Well, not one time. It's a once-in-a-lifetime situation where we've had a shutdown and we've had a pandemic and all this. So for the rest of the CBA, the cap will always climb at least 3% and no more than 10%, which is basically cap smoothing. It's a topic for another day. So let's say 3%, so 1.03, and let's say 10%. So the range of what the cap could be is 112 to 120. So if we were to take the logic of this being 0.35, right, then the most, that's a typo, opted out. Did I do it up here too? No, okay. In theory, if the cap went to its extreme, right, that's 35% of that. Okay, this would be 2021-22 cap range. And then we do, 8%. And then we do sum. Now we're closer to that number. So from the Woj tweet, from Woj up to 226 mil, agents tend to round up. I calculate it at 224 mil. Now, maybe hold on, I'll scroll up in a second. Maybe I missed something. Certainly possible. Check some notes here. Did I punch this into my notes anywhere? When I looked at it, it didn't look right. So, okay. I think I put it on the Indiana page, which is where I was. There is something else that I wanted to talk. I must not have notated it. So anyway, one more check. Whatever. So that's the way I look at it. There's something else to think about on the Clippers is that Kawhi Leonard signed July 9th last year. I think that's it. We'll jump on over here. Jump into the Clippers. So there is at the if you are looking there's an archive link. Oops. Come on. Well, that didn't work. Well, there is an archive link. I'll check why that's not working. Try that again. But we don't need to know the exact date. But basically, Kawhi cannot extend until 2 years from his original signing date. I'm going to ballpark that it was July 9th, 2019. That's just going off my head, and I can't look it up, but it's in that ballpark. So the earliest he can sign an extension would be July the 19th of 2011, which would technically, under normal circumstances, be the next season, be the start of the 21-22 season. That will be the tail end of this season. So he will still be eligible to sign an extension before, similar to how Paul George is doing it before the start of, I guess that's not even true. Paul George is doing it during the season. Kawhi Leonard can still, during the 2021 season calendar year, extend. But he can't do it yet. And what's interesting is he has an option. So he can extend before he opts in or out. But there are some limitations. Like if he opts out, he can't take a pay cut below than what that option would have been. And I'd have to look at it really closely. The main point is that Kawhi is not extension eligible. So if you're asking, why did Paul George extend and not Kawhi, and Kawhi is going to leave because he didn't extend, that's all nonsense. He legally cannot extend yet. And as far as the Clippers and their future money, they've got in the neighborhood of $40 million to Paul George. We don't know the exact figure. They're paying about $30 to Patrick Beverley and Morris combined, and Zubats. Technically, they could probably trade out of Beverley. He'll be in the last year of his deal. So, like, if the Clippers, if Kawhi left, the Clippers would probably be able to get into a under the cap position. If they just have Paul George and Marcus Morris, with Kawhi opting out, Ibaka opting out, even keeping Zubats, but trading the rest or renouncing the rest. But that's a topic for a different time. All right, so let's jump back over here. We're just about towards the end. I see the extension, and this is, I'm not going to punch it in. This is my interpretation. I will say one more thing about this Paul George thing, and then we'll wrap up. In the case of LeBron, so I need LeBron's number from last year. Let me get it right here. No, it doesn't matter. It's this year. No, it's the number from this year. So this is LeBron's number here. So what LeBron actually signed for, and this is kind of what we just determined with Paul George. LeBron actually signed for this much next season. But the actual amount that he's eligible for is either going to be the max. So let's use that same logic. There it is. So here's the cap projection. I guess I had it up there. So LeBron could have signed for, this is the league max. This is the 120% max. And then this is the personal max. So because the projection is 39.4, and because he did sign for 47 million, the cap estimation is going to either be the 39 or his personal max, which is higher. So his LeBron's cap number is 41.18 mil. There it is for 2021-22. But so that's how the league is projecting his actual signed salary. And I'm going to revise this in the page later, is 47.1. So the same would be for Paul George, is that he would, in theory, sign for the max of 120%, which will be, what did we say? Over the max for the league. So he's signing for 42.5. Yeah. So in theory, on the opt-out, right? Opted out. Let me make sure I got this right. Right, so he signed for 40. I haven't seen what he signed for yet, but guaranteed he signed for 42.5, the 120% extension max. But that will actually be reduced, and the cap number will be reduced to the lower of, well, it'll either be the league max or the personal max. So if the personal max is higher than the league max, it'll be the personal max. In the case of LeBron, the personal max is higher than the league max, so that's why we use this as his cap number. In the case of Paul George, we're going to use the league max, the projected league max, based on the current cap projection, which the league has at 112.4. So that's that. That's Paul George. How it relates to LeBron. We talked about Pau Gasol, and I'm going to jump on over to the chat once again. And remind y'all, like the video. We're not done. I'm going to go through the chat. But like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Liking helps when it comes to search algorithms, I'm told. So, for instance, if you're looking for this stuff and you want to find me, or if others want to find me, which the more people participate and view, the more I'll do this. And if you enjoy this, if I can make it worth my while financially, for my time, then I'm going to keep doing it. In fact, I'll do it 2-3 times a week if it justifies financially. It's just the reality. Unfortunately, have to get a certain amount of money for my time because I have very limited resources. And so by liking, more people will see the video when they search for stuff. And notification will help you. Hitting the notification bell will help you know when I'm streaming in case you don't see my tweet or see it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, LinkedIn or wherever I post it. And then subscribing. If I can get enough, I think it's 10,000. I can open up a merchandise store through YouTube, which I'm hoping to do eventually. I have some really fun ideas I'd like to do on stuff I'd like to sell. Like I'm not a camel. That's an old joke that if you know me for a very long time, you know what that means. And then at the top of the page, we have my Venmo. If you want to shoot over, you can hit the monitor. There's a money icon in the chat if you want to donate through YouTube, which would be awesome if you did. But Venmo is awesome if you want to give me even better, a one-time donation. Means a lot. $5, $10, $20, $100, $1 million, whatever you can afford. I don't know what the limit is on Venmo. I'm sure it's less than $1 million. Patreon, if you subscribe to that, then you will have access to my Discord server. Normally I only give $15 subscribers access, but right now if you do it, I'll do it at the $5 level. It means a lot to my wife, my kids. I'm trying to pay for my oldest is applying for colleges right now, so it's really awesome, but it's really expensive. And then Twitter, if you don't follow me, I'm at Eric Pincus, and my email, eric.pincus@gmail.com. We're going to jump back into the chat, and then we're going to wrap it all up. And I just feels like 2 hours is the magic number. All right, so let's wrap this thing up with the last few questions. BDA Pink, thank you. RTD2, thank you. To 10 days count against the hard cap. That's from Andrew Beyer. Yes, 10-day contracts count the amount of salary just like any other contract. It's just 10 days. So that prorated amount that we came up with, it was about $100,000 for a 2-year vet min, which in the case of the Lakers, even if it's a rookie, it'll be counted at that 2-year vet min mark. If so, would that delay when they could sign a vet min deal? So if you take away another $100,000 because they spend it on a 10-day contract, all that has to work within the math. So, and they can't sign under normal circumstances 10-day contracts until January the 9th. January the 10th. No, January the 5th. No, it's January 15th under normal circumstances. I think I punched it in here. Let me double check. Did I punch that in? This page isn't up to date, but maybe it is. First day of the season. 10-day contracts can be signed. Here it is. In this particular year, because everything is off in the calendar, it is February the 23rd when 10-day contracts can be signed. And interestingly enough, I think we calculated February 23rd. I think we calculated February 24th as when they would be able to sign Pau. So it's all coinciding probably purposefully at this date. That's probably why the league has the cut down date be February 24th, because it coincides to this particular, the cut down date coincides to when, does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense because this is just specific to the Lakers. So no, that doesn't make sense. It's coincidence in this particular case. All right, looking at the chat. Chris Polanco says, "Can we talk about the Harden drama on my next stream?" I have to, if there's a reasonable chance I'll be writing on the Harden drama if I can get some sort of intel that adds to the conversation. I see I have a donation there. That's from Fucius, Fuscius. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Means a lot. It makes all this make sense. If I could just get up to a certain number, it justifies my time. So that is a step in that direction. But Chris, I don't think we're going to get to Harden today. That's for sure. RTD2. Bobby Marks tweeted yesterday that Giannis gets less money if he signs next summer for the DVPE. Is that right? And then why? I need to look at that. I don't know if that's true. I believe that a Supermax extension can be no more than the max of what next year. The question is, if Giannis is Supermax, he will get the 35% max next season. I think he's subject to that max no matter what. I don't know that 100%, and Bobby's awesome, so I'm not going to go against what Bobby said. I want to look at it. I know that there are subtle distinctions between the designated rookie scale max and the veteran max. I know for sure that the rookie scale designated is just, the contract just says max. I want to look at previous designated contracts and how they were worded to answer that question. That's not something I can do in the next minute or two on stream. These questions there are so many little caveats that I don't want to say right or wrong. The answer would be is that the language is different in a designated player extension, veteran player extension, if it is. Or he could just be off a little bit in his logic. Or I could be off in my initial interpretation from memory right now, ask off the cuff, doesn't sound right, but at the same time, I know there are differences between the two. The rookie scale one is the ones that like Jason Tatum just signed. Damian Lillard recently signed a veteran designated player extension year or two so I think last year. That is a slightly different contract and has slightly different rules. How soon can playoff P be traded for Harden after signing the extension? Will he be considered sign and trade? So Harden, Paul George. This is from Backup 000. So Paul George is under contract. There's no sign and trade for someone who is under contract. He's under contract. He's not signing a new contract and being traded. What you're referring to is more of an extend and trade. And so I need to look at how the rules apply to this year. My understanding is, I got to get rid of this call, is that an extend and trade is extend and trades are legal. So you can be traded after an extension right away. unless you're getting more than what an extend and trade would be. And my interpretation is, for the case of LeBron. LeBron is getting an 8% raise on his second year. So he's got this year, he extended 2 more, and this third year would be an 8% extension. So that would be more than what an extend and trade would be legal, which is the limit is 5%. So in my interpretation, under normal circumstances, the restriction would be for 6 months. I don't know where we are in the current agreement on that. They may have changed. All the timing is off. So normal timing 6 months. Current timing, not sure. But no, not for a while. In the case of playoff P, Paul George, he's getting a 5-year deal. Well, you count the first year. An extend and trade, I believe, can only be for 3 years. And then the raises are limited to 5. He's going to get 8%. Again, I haven't seen it. Haven't seen the extension, but by what was tweeted by Adrian Wojnarowski, there's going to be a extend and trade a restriction where he can't. It would be considered above what an extend and trade would be legal. So therefore, Paul George won't be able to be traded, by my interpretation, for 6 months. However, those dates would be reduced, or I'd have to look. I don't even know what the new calendar is all a mess. So I don't have an answer as far as what date would Paul George be available. Let's put it this way. If James Harden is traded in the next month, it won't be for Paul George because that will be illegal. All right. So before we wrap up, a few more on chat. Vimal Murthy says, I concur. Now we might as well skip the Clipper economics and go straight to the Harden for George trade mechanics. Well, we had to go through that to look at what the mechanics were on the Paul George math. And now that I see that, I see it's more than what an extend and trade would be, so therefore it would not be legal. A sign and trade does have to be done within 48 hours. That is true. You're not going to sign. You're going to agree to a sign and trade in the. You can't sign someone and then, oh, by the way, we're trading you. It has to be an agreement for sign and trade. This is not a sign and trade, and not only that, he's under contract, so it would have to be an extend and trade. We're using the wrong terminology. And then Mark Scott is saying, I doubt Lawrence Frank trades Paul George for Harden. It's not legal. Here are the numbers from Badir. He punched in probably what we calculated. I don't know how it lined up. I think that's about what we did. And then let's see if there's anything else. PG, so there's some discussion about Paul George's history. Badir asks, do I think the Clippers will regret Paul George's extension? It is... If Paul George is the guy who he was in the bubble, then yeah, he was not Paul George as we expect him. I think if Kawhi Leonard stays long term, and Paul George's extension is why, a big part of why, yeah, no, that's great for them. Sure. Does Kawhi leave because Paul George extended? Maybe. The role of journalists is to judge what happens now and what it means and give them a grade when really you don't know the answer for sometimes a year or two. For instance, the Lakers had their Chris Paul trade. It fell apart, it was vetoed, and then ultimately they went through what they went through, but they have LeBron and AD and would have taken a very different path. So you don't know what is the right path and what's the wrong path. Thank you, DS. Again, Fuchsius, if I'm saying it right, thank you for the donation. RTD just says, can you describe the league max and personal max again if you have time? I thought the reason 1+1 contracts was that the players can exceed the league max with 120% raise. So if a player signs with 1 year, they've never signed with the team before, they have non-bird rights. They're eligible for up to 120% of what they made the year before. If they have early bird rights, they can sign up to 1.3% of what they made, 130%. And then if they, or 170, sorry, I got that wrong. Their cap hold is 130%. Their raise max is 175%, or what they, or the league early bird number, which is about 10 million this year. And then if you have full bird rights, you can sign up to the max. and the max is 30%, 35% of cap, 25%. But there are limits. But a player can always, so you can never go over the max of what the league max is by those 120%, by the 175%. But you can, in the one case, go over the league max, because you can always re-sign for 105% of what you made the previous season. That is your personal max. So an extension can be up to 120%, but it can't be more than the league max unless the personal max of 105% is more. So we went through it in the math. You can go back on the stream and look at what I did on the replay. But those are the three max numbers to look at: the league max, the 120% max, in this case of extension. It would be the other numbers based on the other rights, or 105%. And so an extension isn't going to be more than the league max unless the personal max of 105% is more. The 120% can't be more than the league max. An extension can't be the league max if the 120% is less. So I wonder if I messed that up at all. Let's take a look and make sure I didn't mess it up. In the case of Paul George. Paul George. So he would never... So yeah, this is more than league max. So not happening. Let me scroll up a little bit. So not happening. This is the league max, the personal max. So less than league max. So this is the one. That was in this scenario. This is this other one. Again, so this is the personal max is less, scroll up. So no, I didn't mess it up. Less than league max. And so this is the one. And that's why he's eligible for up to 120%, and this is what he will sign for. But it will be limited to either the league max or the personal max. The personal max is below the league max. Therefore, it's limited to this number. Now, let's say the cap goes up crazy and the league max, and I don't even know if it's possible. Let's say the league max ends up being 40. I'm just making this up. 45 million. If the league max was, well, the cap is higher, but the max would be, let's say the max was 45 million at 35%. He would not be able, then the 120% extension max would be the bottleneck there. That would be the limit. But in this case, this is the one. Cool. Just making sure we got it right. DS, did LeBron get 8% raises or 5%? LeBron got an 8% raise. Backup 00 says, great video. RTD2, thank you. I think that's it, folks. I think we've reached our conclusion here. Just over 2 hours. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you have the means, hit me up with a donation, either through Patreon or where you can get access to the Discord server. That's at Eric Pincus, or on Venmo. I really appreciate all the support. You guys got me monetized. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But if we can make it work financially for my time, it is a pleasure to do this. So if you're interested in any tutoring or any personal time, hit me up with an email. My email's at the top of the sheet. I'm going to post the link in one last time, and we will catch you again. Thank you to Dorothy, my wife, for the music at the top, and to my daughter Juliana for the graphics. RTD2, I do not have a schedule of live streams yet. I'm trying to figure out when is the best time to get the biggest audience. I tried an afternoon one, which is today at 1 o'clock. I might want to do it after people's work. Does that mean 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Pacific? How much of my audience is international or national based, so that if we're Eastern time zone, so maybe 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock LA time would be to midnight Eastern time. Maybe that's not tenable. So still trying to figure it out. And I can stagger them too. I could do if there's an audience and if there's enough money to justify my time, which as much as I'd love to do it just for the love of it, I have to take that into account. Maybe it's worth doing multiple ones per week, one at 10 a.m., one at 1 p.m., one at 5 p.m., or maybe one at 5, one at 1, one at 5, one at 7. Just gonna explore and see what happens. Right now I'm at 1 a week, and I'm just overwhelmed with getting the salary sheets up to date on Basketball Insiders, which really holds back all of my work that I do for Bleacher Report, because I need to know exactly where all 30 teams are at any given moment. That's my lot in life, is to know that information, and I don't have it at a beck and call, and so I'm anxious to get that all done. So thank you for your time, and we will do it again soon. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe.